you see is Carter Painting. A little bit about Paul is, what are you, 3 years now in the group?
Right.
Okay, 3 years with the group, and an avid skier. So this is his favorite season right now. So Paul, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
All right. So there's a picture of the place I like to hang out mostly this time of year.
What mountain?
It's a little running steamboat. Yeah. And so basically, for years I thought I put on paint, and that was what I did. But as time's gone by, what I really do is help people with their painting projects and work with people. That's my main service to them. Of course, years of experience, it's now 32 years, pulls that together, and that tends to be quite easy, but the people are the challenge, and I enjoy that challenge. I develop relationships with them and paint over and over for the same clients. I'll paint for their family and friends, neighbors, and people around in the community. So that is what I've come to find that I do, and I do quite well. So, and I'll start this process. It starts with a phone call, and I'll say, I've got, I want you to come look at something, and one of my first questions is, well, what do you want to change the color? Like, well, we haven't really thought about it. My wife wants this, and I want that. And I say, well, I ask because if it takes one or two coats. And so from there, it starts a relationship where I evaluate the person as they're evaluating me. If I haven't painted for them before, I'm evaluating them to see if it's a good fit and it's something I can do. So I use that beginning process as a kind of an interviewing type strategy thing to see if it'll work. And then when that's ironed out, then we just work through the project, and it's painless, and away we go. So I was going to do a brief history. I know that's kind of boring, but I went skiing out of high school, and one day I was walking down the street, and I thought, wow, there's a lot to know. So I went to college, more than just skiing. So I went to college for 4 years at Gunnison, and I graduated and moved back in with my parents. It was during an oil recession in Colorado in the early 80s, and it was hard to find work. And just living with my parents for a month or two without work, it was kind of a slow, painful thing. And a friend's mom called. She was a realtor, and she knew a painter that needed a helper. And so I started with him. And I worked for painters for a few years, and then I got flyers, door hangers, and I put those on doors, and I got some calls. I'd get something like, I put 100 flyers out, I'd get a 2%, 2 calls, and that was enough. Then I'd get a job or two, I'd get about 80% of those. And then the neighbors would see me, and I'd literally paint down the street, house after house. So I quickly realized that you did good work, and people tell their friends, and that caught on. So I've been doing that ever since. Now it's mostly just word of mouth, and that is why this group is so good to me. Referrals are so invaluable. They tell people that this is a person I've hired, I trust him. They let me into their home, they leave their keys, they go to work, and they trust me with their home, and then they tell their friends, and I don't have to sell myself. It's already, the door is open. It just works really well. I think referrals are the way to go. In fact, a lady called this weekend, and she wants me to look at her house, and I said, well, how did you get my name? And she goes, well, I looked on your website. I just put in Boulder Painters, and I thought, oh, that's nice, my website worked. But she doesn't know me. She doesn't know people I painted for. And she just wants to repaint her house to sell it and fix it up. And sometimes that isn't my best market. I usually tend to stress. I paint with a brush and roller and do a high quality paint and stress more quality products. But I'll look at her house this weekend and give it a shot. But as the interviewing process goes, those are some cues that I use that are just not quite the right fit for me. So I'll give it a shot though. Time's slow right now, so it doesn't hurt to look. But anyway, that's the value of referrals is priceless. So, what else? On my pictures here, I have some of the work I've done. Need to get away from the picture, but well, there's the family. This is an older shot when we were on vacation. The oldest one now is in college, and the other one started in high school. So things just keep moving along.
Boy, he's young to be in high school.
A little less hair. Yeah, I think that's 3 years old now. Amazing how that happens. So it's time to update the portfolio here for the
You've been in the group for a while.
pin. Whatever that is. What am I doing? Power. Pinpoint. So yeah, this is a side-by-side of how this fellow, he lives just around the corner, changed the look of his house. So I wanted a little update. He put a white trim and blue wall, and single guy lives by himself, kind of picks the masculine colors. And that one didn't turn out, it's a little dark, isn't it? I think that's the before and that's the after. Just kind of cleaned up really well. There's kind of a story about this job. He didn't want to do the ceiling. I was like, really? You don't want to do the ceiling? No, it's not that bad. Well, the walls are worse, and the ceiling looks okay. And you're like, okay, don't do the ceiling. And then just last year he called me and we did the ceiling. He's like, oh, I should have had you. That's the way it goes. That's the process. And I don't know, I can advise clients and stuff and say, really? And it just sounds like I'm trying to sell more paint and stuff. But, at some level I listen to the client and do what they want to do too. And it was no problem to go back. I think that's the before. And then that's the after. He went with a blue wall and a yellow wall. It's kind of different, but it worked good. And there's the two together. Yeah, and then the living room wall was a beige and crimson. So that's just the kind of thing I do. Trim, walls, ceilings. This would be an ideal room. Be in here a while, big, but with all the windows and stuff. That's good. This house was a little different. They had some wallpaper to be removed up there, and they had these pink trim. It's kind of blurry, isn't it? Pink beams. And we turned those all into white, and it looks so much nicer. And then they put a nice, it's kind of dark, but a nice accent wall there in the kitchen. And then this was a living room wall with, I don't know what they were thinking with pink beams and stuff, but it's, I don't know, probably been 20 years like that. And then there's the after. It just cleaned it up so nicely. With the trim, and the doors and stuff. Those are only little stickers to mark where the paint goes. I think that's a before, and there's an after. They did some nice colors and stuff. With the front doors and stuff. It's a little blurry. That's a before and an after. Did the paneling and all kinds of things. Painted behind that mirror and stuff. That was pretty tricky. Okay, here's an outside, and these people, this was a Barbie job. Barbie's had to go. She said this was the ugliest house. You guys remember this one? It's like a shed. It's like a big shed. It's just a big shed. But it's nice inside, but they just let the outside go forever. And it just had a ton of scraping. It's kind of hard to see, but that's caulk and cracks and stuff. And the deal on this was, it was kind of unusual. He hired me just to paint the higher stuff, and he did the lower stuff.
Did yours look nicer?
I didn't ever see his stuff. I did mine.
He did yours first.
He was procrastinating and stuff. I got him a deal on paint and stuff at the store, but and, got the color worked out for him and everything. So it was easier for him. But then I think he did it all, the lower stuff himself. So it's kind of, he had some Barbie's remodel stuff and some new wood and stuff he had to fix up. So it sure looked better than what I did. After, it was pretty hammered.
Is that the after?
Yeah, that would be the after the upper part.
Yeah.
And then he's going to do the lower. Yeah. So it was kind of different. It was challenging. I had to do, you saw those two ladders. It was ladder to get onto a ladder off a deck. There was no stairs on that deck. And those boards were rotten, and it was a tricky fella.
Who's your insurance guy?
I do have insurance. My liabilities with Dave, yeah. So anyway, this house is a little Martin Acres home in South Boulder, and a single fella lives here too, and he had a pretty hammered white house. And that happened last time I did this presentation too. I got to this house and the time ran out. So anyway, he changed it to, it's kind of hard to see, but green and beige and stuff. Then this garage door is a vinyl door. I put a liquid desander on it, deglosser. It's a textured door. It's kind of hard to paint, but this liquid deglosser, if you guys do this on your vinyl things, it'll help the paint stick. And then it looks so much different afterwards in the dark. But the pictures come out a little dark. That was my son's music teacher, his house in Louisville. Those are purple, actually, purple shutters and door. And that garage door was a lot of fun. I spent a few hours on that. It's fun. It was fine. I get a good brush, and it's fine with years of experience. Work through that. This was a deck I sanded, restained. Dan's doing that now.
No.
Wife.
Shanti's doing it.
Shanti's doing it.
And he's not saying it.
I can tell a little story there about when you buy a house and it's freshly painted, and Kate probably does this and knows about it too. And you'll paint for the sale, but maybe you don't use the right products or use good products. And
1 year, all my paint is peeling off
Dan
the
has deck looked great for when he bought the house.
Beautiful, yeah.
And then after a
Right
year,
there.
it just peels, and it peels here, it doesn't peel there.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, what do
And
I
now
do?
my wife has to get on her hands and knees and sand the whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
She has no helper. Yeah,
It's a dirty job. Yeah, the machines weigh a ton. There isn't a good deck sander.
Paul, was that a brand new deck?
No, that deck's like 20 years old. I've done it every year and put a finish on. Deck finishes just don't last. So the lady that lives in the neighborhood, and I do all kinds of work for her and put that umbrella up for her and stuff. Just any odd job. Change her light bulbs and stuff.
Is that just a cedar deck, or is that?
It's a redwood
It's a redwood.
deck. It's thick boards, and that's why her husband doesn't want to replace it with composite, because it's still nice wood. But this last year I sanded it, and it turned out really well. And I expect to do it again this summer. So after this one, it was 2 years. I didn't do it last year, but it kind of needed it. So, well, this is just another interior, just wild yellow. This was a Barbie referral. They got pink and green, and then just kind of went to beige. There's the yellows. Oh, this one was different. They wanted me to paint this square equally around their picture on the wall. So to accent their picture. It's kind of different.
So is that just, there's no trim around that? It's flat white to
Yeah.
flat yellow, no reveal or anything there?
That's just paint on the wall, the flat right there. But yeah, I had never done that before. It turned out well. I was real nervous, you hang the picture just right, make the square just right. Yeah, it was kind of different. And then they put a different square up there, but no picture. It's just, wait, maybe we did put a picture up there. I think we did. Oh yeah, so that was the painting stuff, and now back to the good stuff.